Yeah, hi everybody. Peter back for yet another video. I've got my friend here, Sebastian, with me. There he is, beautiful boy. Hi, Sebastian. And um, and I'm gonna do an album battle today. I'm gonna put one album against another album, but by the same band. So I'm gonna do AC/DC. I don't think I've done this one. I don't think I've put these two against each other. I've done many AC/DC videos on my channel before, but I'm gonna put 1983's Flick of the Switch, the third studio album with Brian Johnson, and the fourth studio album, Fly on the Wall, the one that came after, from 1985. Both 10 tracks, but I'm just gonna we're gonna talk a bit about both albums and find out which one we prefer. Both these were self-produced. Came after the Mutt Lang period of, Mutt Lang did Highway to Hell, the last one with Bond, Back in Black, and For Those About to Rock, We Salute You. Three great albums, really. And they went back to a more rawer sort of sound, being self-produced here. The results were quite interesting, I must say. And I've talked a bit about Flick of the Switch before. Fly on the Wall, not as much, but we'll talk a bit about both. And you guys put what you think about these albums down below in the album battle. What album do you like? What do you think's the better album? Basically, that's what we're gonna do. So actually, this album was the last one with Phil Rudd before he came back later on. So Simon Wright took over on Fly on the Wall. So the lineup is the same except for the drummer spot. And in the clips for Flick of the Switch, you see Simon Wright, but he wasn't on the album. It was Phil Rudd. So there you go. And of course they had Angus Young, Malcolm Young, Brian Johnson, Cliff Williams, Phil Rudd for Flick of the Switch, and then Simon Wright for Fly on the Wall. Boy. And so we'll talk a little bit about Flick of the Switch first. A very underrated album for me. It's a bit of a fan favorite, you could say. Very much a raw record, raw rock and roll, balls to the wall record. Starts off with the rising power with Johnson on the vocals, obviously. And a great start to the album. It's a fine song. It's got a great riffage. AC/DC, they got this set formula they go by, which is great. There are other bands who obviously try different things more than them, but their productions are quite interesting. I find how they get their sounds and that. I find AC/DC. So in that way, they got a bit of difference to them that way. But Rising Power's a good opener. Not my favorite on the album, but a damn good song. I really like it. I think it's a very strong opening track. And a very well sequenced album, this one as well. But yeah, that's a great opener. This House is on Fire. I'll be a bit quicker. The song's a bit quicker, but the rawness is still there. Basically, this album is like rock from start to finish. Basically, This House on Fire is a very good track as well. I don't dislike it. I think it's a good rocker, a good rocking vibe to it. Flick of the Switch is next, the title track. Bit of a faster song and a real classic for me. Very much, when I've seen them, they've never done anything from this album live. But this would be a good one to hear live. I think Flick of the Switch is very catchy tune and it just rocks out. It doesn't let up. And the playing's amazing. Angus is quite amazing on this track as well. Nervous Shakedowns, I like the lyrics. It's quite clever lyrics. Very slowed down though. Very riffy but slowed down. But one of my favorites on here. I love Nervous Shakedown. Then we get Landslide and the pace quickens up again. This just takes off. It's a great track. I really love this one too. So that's Landslide. Guns for Hire gets the the guitar emulating, shooting guns at the start. You can hear it with the guitar. Really clever stuff. A great rocking song, and a song I've always loved. I always liked Guns for Hire. It's one of those good songs. But I really like this album. I think this album is probably one of the most underrated albums by a major band, I would say. Deep in the Hole's next, a song that at first I thought might have been one of the weaker songs, but over time it's grown on me quite a bit. It's not my favourite on here, but I don't dislike it at all. I think it's a cool song. Bedlam in Belgium's Ex, that's another really good one. One of the stronger ones on here. But one of the hidden gems for me is the next song, Badlands. I really love Badlands. It's Brian seems to rip it out, the song vocally really well. And Brainshake finishes things off. Brainshake finishes things off. Not a bad finish to the not one of my favorites, but it's a good tune. So there's like 10 songs, about a 37-minute album. I think it's very underrated. I think there's a lot of really good tracks on here that are worthwhile. I've always had a high opinion of this album, though. So that's Flick of the Switch from 1983. Then we go to the Fly on the Wall album from 1985. This one has got a bit of pushback from fans and critics of basically the production. I do feel they got a point. I think the vocals on this album from Brian seem a bit buried in the mix. Unlike Flick of the Switch, they're more up front. You find that I don't know if he's been drowned out, but they seem a bit buried. He seems a bit back in the mix for me. But nonetheless, some great songs on here. The title track's a good rocking opener, Fly on the Wall. Shake Your Foundations, probably my favourite on here. I would say my favourite. It's just a great rocking song. Be a good live track if they do it, but I haven't heard them do that one. First Blood is one I've always had a bit of trouble with, but it's grown on me a bit over the years. It's a very bludgeoning sort of track. It's very brutal sounding parts of it, but really good. Danger, I've heard get a lot of flack from people saying I always didn't mind Danger. I've never minded Danger at all. Thought it was a cool track. Sink the Pink's a highlight. So I would say Sink the Pink, Shake Your Foundations, so far highlights. Playing with Girls, a bit underrated. I find it's got a good feel to it. It's a cool song for me. Stand Up's a bit weaker, I would say. It just drags. Stand Up for me drags a little bit, I would say. Just a little bit, yeah. Hell or High Water is pretty decent. No, I don't mind that. As well, Back in Business, an okay tune, as well as Send for the Man, an okay tune. So what you will find, I forgot to mention my favourites on Flick of the Switch. I'd probably 3 favourites would be Flick of the Switch, Nervous Shakedown, Guns for Hire. Could be Bedlam in Belgium as well. But on this album, Shake Your Foundations, definitely. Sink the Pink. Danger's good for me. I like Danger. But I think with Fly on the Wall is starts off really well, but I don't think it's a good produced album as the other one. Not that the other one's massively great produced, but I think it's better produced, Flick of the Switch. But I find Fly on the Wall fades a little bit for me, especially on the second part of the album. But it's got Playing with Girls, which is good. But Flick of the Switch seems more together, and I think the songs are stronger. So I'm going to go, I like Fly on the Wall. I think it's quite a good album, but I just prefer Flick of the Switch to Fly on the Wall. That's what I'm going to go for. So my favourite album out of these two is Flick of the Switch. I'd probably give... I like Flick of the Switch a lot. I'd probably give that a 9 out of 10. And I'd probably give Fly on the Wall a 7 out of 10, to be honest. Yeah, I think just it fades a bit the last few tracks. But it's a good album, so I gave it a 7. I give Flick of the Switch about a 9. But the winner for me is definitely Flick of the Switch out of these two particular albums in this album battle, guys. So it's goodbye from me and Sebastian. Hi, Sebastian. Say goodbye. What do you guys prefer? You might prefer Fly on the Wall, which is quite. That's no problem because I think it's a good album. But for me, it's Flick of the Switch is a better album for me, and I'm picking Flick of the Switch. Comment, subscribe, all those things, guys. I like these album battles. They're pretty interesting to do. But yeah, Flick of the Switch wins over Fly on the Wall. And I'll see you guys for another video. Bye for now, guys. Won't be too far away before the next video. Bye for now, guys. Bye.